Good day. I am Luella Didigo, the leader and the first presenter of Group 3 MDL. Our research study is entitled Communication Experiences of Senior High School Students when Using Social Media. Together with our assistant leader, Rana May Pancho, and other co-researchers who are Sebastian Pierce Labitag and Francine Hanoras. Moving on the locale of the study, which is conducted at Sorsogon National High School, SNHS, Magsaysay Street, Almendras Cugon, Sorsogon. The school has given the researchers permission to conduct face-to-face and online interviews within the school. The 8 participants are grade 11 students from different strands in Sorsogon National High School. The selected participants voluntarily participated in the study, but the researchers guarantee that the information gathered from them is kept absolutely confidential. The third slide is about the introduction of the study. According to Jatea Kabikazi Nazrul Islam University, there are barriers to communication which are the reason why we tend to experience miscommunication. Barriers to communication is defined as the aspects or conditions that interfere with effective exchange of ideas or thoughts. There are 5 major classifications of barriers in communications. There are physical barriers, semantic and language barriers, socio-physiological cross-culture barriers, and organizational barriers. We conducted the study to obtain information about communication experiences of senior high school students in Sorsogon National High School and the factors affecting these experiences. So let's move on to the next slide, which is about theoretical framework. The first theory is about uses and gratifications theory that explains online communication brings information, awareness, and news to audiences as this can help to increase civic awareness, social justice, enhance business marketing, emergency management, online healthcare, instant customer feedback, and sense of urgency and need to share. While the second theory is about media dependency theory, which explains the NetPop, which is according to NetPop, social media expands the number of sources and perspectives available online for Chinese netizens and is a fresh experience for population accustomed to single source of media and information. As we all know, audience is limited in real life, so we tend to use social media to fulfill our needs. The third theory is about magic bullet theory, which explains what happens to Mayor Isko Dumagoso Moreno, which was remarked in a recent Facebook post in 2020 in Manila Bulletin, where he posted an article which the bashers criticized the mayor for supposedly encouraging instructors to avoid teaching politics to their children. One netizen even claimed that this would keep citizens uneducated and unprepared for the next election, preventing them from speaking out against elected officials. The twisted interpretation of the local chief executive's remark was widely disseminated online and it became the type of fake news that other people believed. Our next presenter is Sebastian Pierce Labitag, who will discuss about a research question.
Good day, my name is Sebastian Pierce H. Labitag and I'm here to discuss the research questions of the study. Since this study aims to collect information about the communication experiences of senior high school students in Sorsogon National High School, we created the following question. The first research question is, what is the profile of senior high school students who are using social media? This first question aims to create a detailed description about each of the participants. The second question is, what are the communication experiences of senior high school students when using social media? This question aims to figure out what the communication experiences are of senior high school students when using social media. The third question is, what can be proposed based on the result of the study? This question aims to collect results based on the data given by the participants in the interview. Let's move on to the next slide. The next slide is about methodology. We use the descriptive qualitative method. The descriptive qualitative method aims to accurately and systematically describe a population, situation, or phenomenon. It can answer what, where, when, and how questions but not why questions. We use the random sampling method in choosing the selected participants to be in the interview of our research study. The instruments used were the interview guide, including 13 interview questions rooted from the research questions of our research study. Moving on to data collection procedures, we first let the participants sign an informed consent letter. We also created a letter to ask permission from the principal to conduct the research study. We also created the parents' waiver for our parents' consent. Then we created a data gathering work plan for organized and planned interviews. After that, we started to conduct the interviews face-to-face and online. Moving on to data analysis, we transcribed and translated the data given to us by the interview participants. We then used the thematic analysis as a method of analyzing qualitative data. It is usually applied to a set of texts such as interview or transcripts. The research closely examines the data to identify common themes, topics, ideas, and patterns of meaning that come up repeatedly. Let's move on to the next slide. It is about results and discussions. The study was conducted under the premises of Sorsogon National High School with 8 willing grade 11 high school participants from different strands. One participant's data was disregarded because he did not provide any data that can be of any use in the specific study. In consequence, we only used data from 7 participants whom provided significant data about the study. The data was gathered using a semi-structured face-to-face and online interview. Moving on to the next slide, results and discussions. The findings and results of the study are communication experiences of senior high school students in social media. The first experience was misinterpretation of the message, bashing and hostile acts, and prompt replies. Next is factors affecting miscommunication in social media. The first one is emoji or emoticon use, punctuation, language, and typographical errors. Next is the recommendations of the participants when using social media. The first one is be respectful and sympathetic, be open-minded, spread positivity, have limitations and boundaries, and avoid miscommunication. Let's move on to the next speaker, Rona May Pancho. She will be discussing the conclusions and the recommendations of our research study.
Good day. I am Rona May Pancho and I am the third speaker. I will be presenting the conclusion and recommendations drawn from the research study. As a result of the findings, everyone experienced miscommunication. It was stated that they experienced miscommunication because of certain factors like emoji or emoticon use, because in modern day, society has different depictions of emojis. Another participant stated that they experienced miscommunication because of punctuations that are taken wrongly because of their physical absence from the person they are communicating with. Therefore, people perceive their tone wrongly. Furthermore, participants also experience miscommunication because of language and typographical errors since they also communicate with strangers or people they barely know online. Based on the result of the findings, miscommunication happens as an experience because of the factors which serve as barriers to the communication experience. This study has proven a lot of barriers and that everyone might not avoid miscommunications in social media. Based on the findings and discussions following the research questions, the researchers concluded that miscommunication is a frequent communication experience among senior high school students. From the conclusions, the researchers recommended a definite procedure for addressing the problem. Netiquette should always be observed by social media users. Everyone should behave accordingly, be respectful and sympathetic to people you interact with online. In avoiding miscommunication, one should always be cautious in formulating messages. Example of these are misclicking emojis, pronunciation, and grammar. Proofread the messages before sending to make sure that there will be no typographical errors for a clear and concise conversation. The research participants also gave their advice based on their personal experience when communicating through social media. These are categorized in the findings like be respectful, more sympathetic, be open-minded, spread positivity, have limitations and boundaries, and don't talk to strangers. Social media users should be held accountable for the content they comment, share, and post. They should be aware that social media is an open, public, and accessible space, so one should be careful in carrying out conversations and interactions. That concludes the summary of the research study of Mdl Group 3, Communication Experiences of Senior High School Students in Social Media.